Welcome to the Farm Family Harmony podcast. I'm Elaine Froese, Farm Family Coach, here with another episode full of transition tips, tactics, and sometimes hard truths to get harmony on your farm. Hello, folks. Welcome to another episode number 9 of the Farm Family Harmony podcast. I'm Elaine Froese, Farm Family Coach, and today I'm really excited to introduce you to a member of our coaching team, Crisol Gonzalez. And in honor of Crisol's Mexican culture, I'm wearing a Mexican top today. And just before I introduce her, want to just tell you how we met. Crisol is married to Gerardo Reimer, who is a Mexican Mennonite dairy farmer in Chiotemec, just an hour and a bit out of Chihuahua, Mexico. He reads voraciously. He's a lifelong learner. And one day he was reading Progressive Dairy and read my column. And he looks up from the newspaper and he says, "Crisol, come here, come here. I think you want to meet this lady." And it happened. They jumped in their Volkswagen station wagon, drove for 2 days, and came to visit us at mile 16 in southwestern Boise. So, Crisol, that was amazing. That happened, I don't know how many years ago now, probably 5. Can't remember what year it was, but welcome to the show. Yeah, 2019, spring of 2019. And here we are. And who knew that we would be working together? So this is a great place. So tell our listeners what you've just celebrated with your masters and what you're doing in Chiotemec.
Yeah. Well, I'm very happy to be this morning with you, Elaine, and also with the people who is listening to this podcast. And I just finished my master's degree in transformational leadership at the Eastern Mennonite University. And it was like a long journey that started also when I met Elaine. I made a career shift from being a lawyer, a legal advisor, and but always very interested in the relationships that human being hold with each other. And then I was very interested on how can we like solve conflict, not only at the latest or the most heated stages, but how can we talk about conflict and difficulties in life in a more proactive way. And that's what led me to alternative dispute resolution practices, but also peacemaking practices. And that's what has been my journey since 2019, the year that I also met Elaine. So
and what's exciting to me is I came to see you in that very room that you're sitting in today at your farm home in February of this year. And what blows me away, Crisol, is that you speak Spanish, fluent English, Low German, and High German, and you can translate into my ears simultaneously. So I just think that's fantastic. And you and I have done some coaching work together already with farm families across North America, some in Canada, some in the US. And we also did a seminar together with a group of 19 or 20 Mexican farmers and entrepreneurs right down the road from your farm in a hotel that looks like a hotel down in downtown Grand Prairie. So it was delightful to have that seminar experience with you too. So you've also been working in the schools in your local area. And today our focus and our theme for today's podcast is conflict dynamics and resolution. So one of the things that you said that I think people don't think about is how to be proactive about conflict rather than just reactive and having high conflict escalation situations in the heat of the moment. So can you give us some more examples of what roles conflict plays in our lives and how you frame it?
yes, I think one of the most important learnings that I've experienced in the last years is to understand that conflict, it is a normal part of life.
Right.
It's something that even like it's needed. And I really like the example they used to explain this to me. Conflict can be like fire. And then fire can be something very useful. We can do a very fun winter roast outside our house. We can cook, we can bake. But also, like just 2 weeks ago, we had this bale burning just
Oh
up
no.
beside our window, and that is a way, an example of how fire can also consume everything, can be
Right.
very destructive, right? That
Right.
didn't lose anything else, but it is a moment when you fear of losing something.
Right.
But this is also, it is a very good example because conflict can really create when it's in a space that is safe, that is very controlled and also very respectful.
Mhm.
Families can talk about conflict, and that can bring even the family closer because then we can really talk about what we need, what are our interests, what is the things that we really care about, that sometimes we just masquerade or we hide behind some of the
Right.
the masks, right? That we use. But also when conflict is not found, that is not grounded in love and a good relationship structure that we can have in with the family, can also be very destructive. So that is something that really drew me to peacemaking circles. That is a tool, it is a practice that focuses on connecting people. So it isn't about now we are going to talk about the tough issue that nobody wants to talk about, like the elephant in the room. But
Mhm.
first, we want to build a relationship that is a container that is going to be strong enough to hold the
Mhm.
relationship, although we gather to talk about tough issues, right?
So I have to show this cup. I bought this in Mexico when I was visiting
Okay.
in a different area, and it's made of copper.
Yeah.
So this copper tumbler that was made in Mexico could be a container for fire. And
Yeah.
I really like the word picture that you just gave, Crystal, because what would it look like if farm families approach conflict with, we need our emotional cups to be full
Yeah.
so that those cups can contain and can hold whatever comes to pass, right?
Yeah.
In the future of the family circle, or what we would also call the management circle or the ownership circle, either one. Tell me more about these circles. How do those circles work?
Yeah, well, these circles are a place where people hold onto. I would just mention three of the main values that you talk about in a circle. The first thing is that nobody leads a circle, but someone facilitates and serves the circle.
Oh,
Everybody sits around the circle on the same level of chairs. Nobody is like higher hierarchy than others.
mhm.
And then you pass the bowl that Elaine uses, that is like the talking piece that we call. And it is just a way, a reminder that when people has the talking piece, it can be a stone, something meaningful for the, this is a stone that I gather from one of our trips that I really appreciate. But when you use the talking piece, it is a way of reminding that everybody has their time to
And a voice.
choose to talk, but also when I don't have the talking piece, I have the opportunity to listen.
Right.
And this is something that it can be very, it is circles. I love them because they are a structure that can hold very tough issues, but also can be a circle of celebration of a birthday, right? Like I really like to do with the children. We give um birthday word gifts. So we sit in a
Oh,
circle and then everybody gives a gift in a form of a word
like
to
an
the,
affirmation.
yeah, affirmation and celebration, and also to getting to know each other. Always it starts with maybe a prayer, a little song, a little reflection, or a phrase that I really liked this week, and then we go into a check-in round. So, how is it going? How have you been in this week? And sometimes we, Gerardo and I, maybe we don't make a circle, but
Mm.
sometimes we like to talk and make each other those questions like, what has been the roses and the thorns in this week? I love that question, because it is a very graphic way of how weeks or days can have like a rose and also the thorn, right? And it's in the same plant. And then you go into some exploration question that could be, what is something that you achieved this week that brought you joy? What had been something that was difficult, or something you are struggling that you would like to share? And then you can have as many rounds as you're prepared, because sometimes a very simple question, maybe you think I facilitate with children, I think, okay, it's going to be a very quick circle, and people and the children have a lot to share, right? Because it's something that it's on their hearts to share with the group. And that the intention of that is that you can create layers of trust, of
Yes.
values, of respect, of responsibility also, because when you sit in a circle, you are responsible for how you present yourself for others, but also how can you hold it is,
All the
I always
space.
imagine, like, if we would just hold a string or a loop, or a hula, or a loop
Right.
that you
Yeah.
use, or plate, and you need everybody to just lift it so it can stand, right? Like, nobody can just walk away.
Right.
So when you start building those layers of values, then you create this container, as this mug or this vase that you
Yeah.
presented.
This.
And yeah, that is, and then you close it. And I really like that, because sometimes when we are in conflict circles that really talk about tough issues, we cannot go with an ending that is, or not closed, like
Right. You need,
open emotions, like, so you always come up to a climax, and then you lower it, and you finish with something valuable that you take from that circle for the rest of the week, or something that you would like to keep learning about, or something that an action that you want to change, commitments also.
so I think that's an interesting place to land, Crisol, with how we do our coaching calls, because we have these family meetings where you and I will be facilitating together. And then we get to the point in the meeting, the last half hour, where we talk about action steps. But
Yeah.
we never will close off a very, you know, robust family meeting until we've asked, of all the things we've talked about today, what has been the most valuable? And that helps people grab that aha moment and look at closing off as to what their next steps will be, and also telling the other people in the family circle of that meeting what was helpful, or what they learned that they didn't know before. So when you talk about using a circle in family relationships, how can we be more effective in doing that?
I think something that I really liked about circles, it is it is a practice,
Okay,
and
so it's a
sometimes
habit
it's
and
a habit, yeah, and
discipline. Or
yeah, discipline. And Gerardo and I have a mug that we use, that when we want to talk about a very specific problem, then and maybe we haven't been like very, like, just coming out of the house, and we don't really have time to communicate, then we try to place a cup on the cupboard, so then we know that we want to have
there's
time.
something that needs to be, that's amazing. That's a great practice, because it's very visual, and it's when both of you are ready to deal with the mug.
Yeah. And I think that I learned this from a friend, that she has already a family
Mm,
with children, and they use it because sometimes you don't really know how to start the conversation.
right.
Maybe just coming in the morning when everybody's just running out to school, to work, and say, "Hey, I've been having a very tough week," or
Oh,
I'm
we need to talk.
yeah, we need to talk. It is like
It
very
strikes
heavy.
fear to people's hearts. We need to talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you have this object that everybody knows, that when it's on their,
Yeah, I could
yeah,
use this because actually this is Wes. This is my husband. I gave it to him for Valentine's Day, so technically I shouldn't be drinking out of this because it's actually my husband's. So
Well, you have the value of sharing,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah, that's right. So how long does the mug sit on the counter then, Crisol?
Well, what we usually do it on the in the evening, then we just check in with each other.
Okay.
Or sometimes we just sit and try. We always try to have at least one day of a week that we plan to do something special, to go and eat some tacos, like
Yeah.
what we did with Elaine, or just try to go and also did some horseback riding or just a walk behind our house. But we feel that it's so important to have moments for connecting,
Yeah.
and we also try not always just to talk about the issues in the work. Still, we you do it because it's part of life, right?
Right.
But we like to see a good movie or a good book that enables us, or a good podcast also that gives us something to talk about and go deeper. But
Mhm.
also something that I really appreciated from this friend is that she has 3 children. So when she sees the mug, she goes and check in with each of them and see who was the person who
Put the mug out.
put the mug out, and then she can know if they want to have a family meeting to talk about the issue, or she if it's something that they them as parents have to have a conversation with the child. So I thought it was a very good way of communicating, and in a way that is also very um sometimes
It's gentle. It's
it's gentle,
gentle.
right? It's
Hmm.
yeah, it's gentle. Thank you for that word.
Hmm.
So yeah, um,
I think that's a fabulous idea. What other things can we do to grow practices in our families that help us to be connected, Crisol? Because it's very interesting that you trained as a lawyer in legal work and had some journey with alternative dispute resolution, but you've also had a journey where you work at the local school as well, and have also been coaching farm families. So
yeah.
of all the experiences that you've had navigating and helping people embrace conflict as a practice, because it is a normal part of life, what other things have you found helpful?
Well, if I can just add here is that when as you mentioned, in these last years I've been also just learning how beautifully connected we are as human beings. And sometimes, like in my case, in our case, we live in a close small community, but sometimes you give by, yeah, you just think, yeah, we already know each other. We are, nothing new happens, nobody changes. It's always the same. But working at the school, and I also, that is for me, it translates completely to families. We are so deep connected. We see each other every day, right? For a whole year in the school, but also in life in a family. We already think that we know each other.
Yeah.
And sometimes that is not true, because people, we change as persons. We reflect on life. We learn something new. And I think that to just keep conversations real but also deep can also help to strengthen the this yeah the net that holds us as
And support,
society,
right?
but also as a family and communities. And this is also applicable for different in different contexts. It's not only for Mexico, it is also for you. When I listen to how your community supports each other, how you help each other when there are conflict, but also I think it's very valuable to start practicing what it looks like to react to conflict in a more proactive way. And this is a very good example. When we have a good container of values, of trust,
Mm-hmm.
we can say the things that we think should change in a moment that is that has a more opportunity for people to change. And also it is in a mindset when they can look for solutions. And sometimes when we stay quiet and we don't say anything, then
Silence.
hide behind those barriers, those masks,
Yeah.
and we don't. we don't communicate them till we explode, right?
Well, and then that percolates and becomes what the author of Fault Lines calls a volcanic event. And we
Yeah.
don't want volcanic events. But if you would just be willing to share, we just have a few more minutes, Crisol, but you had something very hard happen recently that was unexpected and sad. And I think listeners need to understand too, you and I have each lost a sibling, to mine to an accident, yours to health issues. And so just because, where is it written that old people die first? It's not, right? So and in our coaching team, we do have a palliative care nurse, Jenna, who does great work around loss and grief and whatnot. But you also have the capacity to understand different cultural understanding. And so can you just talk a little bit about what's happened in your past week in terms of loss and how that's impacted you, not knowing, the pain of not knowing?
Yeah. Well, we lost a good friend, a very good friend. In he was not classmate, but he studied together with Gerardo, my husband, and
Mhm.
then they were friends from rodeos, and they were a good also. They became good friends also in business and
And
working with
helped each other. And they helped each other.
helped
Mhm.
each other. And it was a terrible loss for the community of friends, and also you could see it for the family. And I think what makes us very, very sad is how hard it is when someone feels very lost, very sad, and feels that there is not a space where they can share it.
Right.
And so
No
a space
container.
that,
No,
yeah, a
no
space,
container.
yeah, a space that can hold them in their emotions, in their journey, and maybe not in this position of healing them or giving them the answers, but supporting each other in moments of sadness and struggle, right?
Mhm.
And that is something that has been just like coming on Gerardo's mind and mine, on how important it is to create communities, that it doesn't have to be like only family. It can be
Right.
also good friends in a family, that creates spaces for holding each other, not only when there is something urgent to do on the farm, but also in emotional emergencies, right? Or
Right.
in celebrations, because he died by suicide, and
Yes.
he was very young, and it makes us very, very sad to see how maybe this community couldn't hold him in
Right,
the
right. And and
or
and why it's important that you're telling this story now, Crisol, on this podcast is because the research in Canada has shown that 25% of farmers have suicide ideation. Their mental health is not good. And conflict that goes unresolved for a very long time, whatever that conflict is, becomes explosive or pulls people into depression and anxiety and downward spiral thinking, and where they think that there is no other way or there is no other answer, is very, very concerning. And so we want listeners to understand that we have supports in place like the National Farmers Mental Health Alliance and Do More Ag, and getting to know, if you're listening to this, just spend some extra time this week finding out who the mental health support workers are in your community, and reach out, and also take people to the doctor, take them for an assessment, and really, because you had no idea, right? You have no idea that this was happening, and
yeah.
you were good friends. So all of the things that we've talked about today, I think have been, of all the things we've talked about, I think the idea of the mug on the counter is fabulous. Whoops. And that's my timer, because we've spent 25 minutes together, and I let the timer chime and go off, because a unit of time in Italy, a pomodoro, which is a tomato, their
Mhm.
kitchen timers are shaped by tomatoes. So we have just spent 25 minutes encouraging our listeners. All of this to say, a short block of time, what would it look like if you took 25 minutes to have that mug on the shelf and get your spouse or your children or your in-laws to say, hey, I saw the mug was out maybe it was in the milk parlor, right? Maybe it was in the farm office. Maybe you have a mug that's for the farm team. Maybe you have a different mug that's in the family house. So there's a family circle of conflict that's being dealt with and contained. And maybe there's also one for the barn. Different signs for different people. So Crisol, it's been a joy to have you. And I also want listeners to know, because you are trilingual, you can offer a great service, especially I'm thinking to our dairy families across North America who have Hispanic speaking workers and managers and people who need to also know what's happening in the farm transition in the management team. And so I'm really thankful to have you on the team. You've done some hard work already of translating some of my resources into Spanish. And so if people want to find Crisol Gonzalez, just go to farmfamilycoach.com and click on the coaching tag, and we'll get you connected. So thank you so much, Crisol, for your time
Yeah,
today.
and I just want to remember and encourage everyone, make some check-ins with everybody. Just say what is something that you learned this week, what is something joyful. Maybe we can do some prompts and post
Yes.
it on your page. But yeah,
Check
connect.
in. Yeah,
Check
make sure you're connecting. So folks, our goal is that you would find family harmony through understanding each other better. And it's your farm, it's your family, it's your choice. Please reach out to us at farmfamilycoach.com, and we're here to serve, and we're here to help, and we're here for everyone to get clarity of expectations and certainty of timelines and a commitment to act. And say hello and give greetings to Gerardo and give him a hug for me. And I hope that there's comfort in your loss and also things that people learn on this journey of life. Thanks so much, Crisol. See you next time. Bye-bye. I've created an online membership called the Farm Family Transition Membership, Your Path to Harmony. It's a path to seamless farm transitions without the turmoil, legal complexities, and family fights. So sign up today for the founding membership waitlist, which is at elainefroese.com/membership. And if you can't spell Elaine Froese, it's ELAINEFROESE.com. And again, it's at elainefroese.com/membership. And be ready to start after harvest. See you soon.